Hi, welcome to this presentation on the Ajna Center. The Ajna Center is this center second from the top, right below the head, which you'll remember is the pressure to think. The Ajna Center is how you think. So how do you conceptualize? How do you process information? What reasons do you give? What concepts do you think of? What theories? What answers? So this is all about thinking, the mind. This is the mind. And basically half and half have this defined, half undefined. This is awareness over all time. So it's awareness in the present, past, and the future. Those are people that have this center defined think the way they think. They think in a consistent way. They have a way that they think that's just the way it is. Some people, think in a mystical way, and their mind conceptualizes mystically in a more individual, truly, original thought. Then there's others who are processing the past. Their mind is making sense of the past and coming up with stories and understandings and light bulb insights based on the past. Then there are those who think in a real logical way and who are projecting patterns onto the future. The way that someone thinks is something you can look at if they have a defined ajna, because you can look at what gates and what channels they have defined. And mostly, especially the channels, are going to be the things that are consistent and fixed about the way that they think. So you can look at those channels and say, okay, this is a person who's focused on the future and projecting logical patterns. This is a person that's focused on the past and making sense of abstract experiences. Or this is a person who's, more of a mystical thinker. And then that really trips people out when you can tell them how they think. They're like, whoa, okay, this person's in my head. The challenge when you have this center defined, your mind is going, it's active, it's thinking, and it thinks the way it thinks, and it can be difficult to not allow your mind to be your decision maker, which is really the essence of what human design is all about, is making decisions from a different place. Letting the mind is meant as a tool to share wisdom with others, a tool for understanding, a tool for conceptualizing and making sense of life. Yeah, the mind is always going through a process of conceptualizing. So conceptualizing has phases of, confusion, doubt, and insight, understanding, all the way back to confusion again. So, just because someone has the center defined doesn't mean that they always know what's what. The unhealthy version of this center is pressuring the undefined mind to think like you think. This is something, I have an undefined ajna, so I can really relate to this. Whenever I work with someone like a coach or a mentor who has a defined mind, I really just take it with a grain of salt that this person is going to think that they know the way it is. They really will, because to them, that is the way it is. They can't think of things a different way. They think of it the way they think of it. And it is that way to them. So for someone that has, the defined mind or the defined ajna, they're fixed. They think that it is that way. And for the undefined ajna, there are many ways that things could be, and it might seem like it's that way in that moment, but in another moment it can look this way. And so I try not to let myself be overly influenced on the mental level by people that have this center defined, or at least I am aware that that dynamic is taking place. Yeah, this is the beauty of the defined mind, is just to really get into harmony with how you think and let it be interesting. Let it be something that you're learning about and enjoying. You are like the manufacturer of the concepts and the ideas and the insights. When you have this center defined, you're processing information in a consistent way, through a consistent lens that benefits everyone. So yeah, enjoy it and share it also when appropriate. Okay, I feel like I've spoken to all of those. I'm going to keep going here. So let's look at the undefined ajna. So the undefined ajna, looks out and sees that, some people are really certain about things in the way that they think, and can tell that they aren't certain, and feels that inferiority or lack of certainty. And so tries to become as certain as those are who have the defined ajna. So it's funny because people who have a defined ajna, they will sound certain. They'll be like, yeah, no, it's this way. This is how it is. People that have the undefined ajna and who are coming from an unhealthy place can be like that too, where they're super dogmatic. But to me, it's even more emphatic. It's like, it really reminds me of something that drove me crazy about being in academia, in university, and was listening to people talk. They were so dogmatic and always trying to prove that their mind was smart. So people that have the undefined ajna, you're an airhead. You don't think in a certain way. You can think in many different ways, and you can't rely on your mind. Your mind isn't always gonna be there to think of things in a certain way. So there can be a real fear that you are inferior somehow and that your mind isn't sound, that you're stupid, that you're not good on the mental plane. And most of you, chances are you're a teacher. If you are, watching this video, you're a teacher. And you present information to people. And if you have an undefined ajna, that can be scary because you don't know if you're even going to be able to remember your own name, whether, or you're going to be able to remember your student's name, let alone actually answer a question that they have. So, this can be crippling. This can make you not want to, even open your mouth. But, let this be a relief for you to hear this, and let it be okay for you not to know answers and not to know what you're going to say next. Or, I really found a lot of relief with this. It's like when I go to deliver information at, I can remember when I first learned this, doing one of my Discover Your Genius events and having a real enjoyment of it on a whole other level where, you know, because these centers work together. So Open Ajna, undefined ego, that's like, I don't feel good enough about not knowing what I think or not being certain. So I, you know, trying to prove that I'm certain. That's the combination of those two centers in the unhealthy expression. So it was a big relief for me to then start presenting and realize that like a student might ask a question and be like, I have no idea. Like my mind is blank. You know, there's just nothing there. And letting it be okay if I, you know, forgot what I was saying mid-sentence, that kind of thing. That's all just normal par for the course stuff for someone with an undefined ajna. You're not certain, you're not fixed on the mental plane, so let that be okay. Okay, let's see if I can continue here. So yeah, you know what that sounds like, that kind of resonance of, oh, sorry. You know what that sounds like, that resonance of someone who's just trying to prove that they know something and trying to be right. That says like talking heads. I actually, I just really despise that vibe. So yeah, you can notice it, you can see it. That's the song of the undefined ajna that is unhealthy. I love this. Oh my gosh, isn't this perfect? So here's this defined ajna, you know, and this is how it is. Of course it is this way. This is the only way I see it, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, this girl here who at some level can tell she just doesn't have a certain fixed perspective, which, by the way, is what makes her brilliant. Most of the most, you know, I had a sweet moment at Discover Your Genius once with a woman. She was a PhD in like astrophysics or something like that. Like she was, you know, one of the smartest people I've ever met, kind of thing. And she came up to me quietly, you know, on one of the breaks, and she says, you know, Karen, I think there's something wrong, like with my chart or with human design, because she says, it says that I have an undefined mind, but, you know, I am a really great thinker, and I'm a PhD. She's like, I've devoted my whole life to thinking. And I just thought that was so funny because, you know, the greatest minds like the Einstein and Freud and Jung, they all had undefined minds. And so one of the gift of the undefined minds is that they aren't defined, they're open-minded. They can think in all ways. And so they can, you know, hear someone with a defined mind and take in that perspective and discern whether or not that is a sound viewpoint. And they can also listen to this and say, oh, that's a sound viewpoint. And they can mix and match from different perspectives and different ways of conceptualizing. So they might not be able to generate their own thought, but they can definitely take in thought and assimilate and, you know, bring things together. So, you know, just because you have an undefined mind does not mean you don't think in a really interesting or valuable way. It just means that it's not fixed. Yeah. You're not consistent. Takes things in like a sponge. Enjoys experiencing many different ways of thinking. Not concerned about looking smart or with having answers. And enjoys uncertainty. Like, oh, I don't know. You know, that's one thing I've always been inspired with Einstein is he wondered about something for 30 years before the answer came to him. So imagine that capacity for uncertainty, not knowing. It's like, I wonder, I don't know, I'm not certain, I'm curious. You know, that's amazing. Recognizes valuable concepts worth thinking about. Tries to convince others and themselves that they are smart, certain, and intellectually consistent. My gosh, I certainly know that one. That one's every year of my degrees, I was surrounded by that. Makes decisions from what it thinks. So whether you have this center undefined or defined, that's a challenge. Awesome. So that's it for this center. I look forward to hearing your observations on the Ajna. So thank you.